Welcome to Betting with Benny and Tino here at FTN Bets. I'll be your host, Benny Ricciardi, joined by my producer and esteemed co-host, Steven Tino Rodriguez. What's going on this morning, bro?
It's going. We got our coffee in our system. It took us a while here to, get settled. We had to talk about a few of the picks we had last week, a few of the teasers and props we had last week. We have updated standings here of how we're doing on the show. We had a lot to sort out. We have a lot of information for the people, but all in all good. It's going to be a nice, quick, informative show. We're going to try to make this quick, Benny. We're going to try to hurry the pace up here because, we're here for picks, right? We're here for picks. They like to look at us, but we're here for picks.
Well, they're here for picks. We're here to give the picks. They're here to hear the picks. So we want to cut out a little bit of the fluff, try to make the show a little bit shorter because you know what? We know that you guys are busy and we value your time as much as you value our time. So let's get into it here a little bit. Do you want to start off by doing a recap and then we'll get into the teasers for this week?
Let's do it. Yep.
Go ahead.
So we'll take a look at your teaser here and bad beat. Pretty bad beat here. Well, it was a bad beat and an almost bad beat, and this was a part of mine in the Patriots, but Vikings -2.5, Patriots -2.5. Those numbers are gross, but the Vikings, I warned you about those Lions, and those pesky Lions almost beat them, Benny. They almost beat them. Was that the key piece to your teaser? Was that what that was, or no? Was that the Patriots?
No. That wasn't. It wasn't the key, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely one that kind of hurt that I was looking for there. What kind of annoyed me is there was an 8 earlier in the week that I could have taken, and I got busy doing other stuff. So when I finally got it, it was 8.5, and I didn't care. I was like, whatever. We're still below the 3. That's all I really cared about. But 19-17, they won the game, but they only won by 2, so I lost the teaser there. You know what? It happens. Honestly, if that game's played 50 more times, I would bet that the Vikings cover the -2 probably 45 of those 50 times because it was just bad variance and it happens. And that's why we that's why we say you got to manage your bankroll, not go all in every time. You're going to have some losses, but I'm not worried. We'll bounce back by the end of the year. I'm not too worried about it.
So all in all, we don't have many losers on this show. So with that, now we are in an odd week. Well, with last week, we're in an even week this week. So we'll try to get to 500 for you. You and 2 or 3 on your teasers. 8-3 overall on your just bets in those teasers in those particular teams. So if you somehow bought points and brought them down, decided to play them, you were 8-3 overall. I won last week despite betting way more teams than you do. I am 12-3 overall, 3-2 on teasers here, and we had a 3-legger hit. I felt pretty good about the 49ers. Way too many points in a game. That was really weird. 49ers covered 11.5. I thought it would be kind of exciting in Trey Lance's first game. I didn't expect it to be low scoring or as low scoring as it was. Pretty uneventful, honestly. So the 11.5 was pretty much good the entire way. They were down 10-0, so I guess it was kind of in danger if the 49ers didn't score. But Browns +8, that was a shootout. That game was actually very exciting. And then I was a part of Patriots -2.5. So we got a win there. Again, 3-2 on teasers. 12-3 overall. So we're not spewing out nonsense, Benny. We're not spewing out nonsense.
That Patriots one, man. I remember we were talking about that for Circa last week, and I'm like, bro, I'm scared of that game. And you're like, come on, the Patriots. It's 8.5. It's the Texans. I'm like, I'm telling you, I was scared of that game. Texans were up big in the first half of that game too. I think they were up 2 scores.
They were.
And then they did nothing in the second half. I don't even think they scored in the second half, did they? Maybe a field goal.
I have
definitely
no idea.
Didn't have a touchdown.
But in the Patriots' defense, Damian Harris, it depends how you want to look at it. That could have been a touchdown, should have been a touchdown, fumbled it at the plane.
Should have been.
I mean,
should have been.
Like,
absolutely.
Very wishy-washy. I think it was called a touchdown on the field, so whatever. I don't know what angle they used, so that was like a 14-point swing in essence. 7 points, Texans go down and score. They scored on 2 huge plays in the first half. So, kind of changed a lot there. But you were right. If only we listened to each other. Like, we were both right. Just, we didn't listen. So, it's all right. Here's what it is.
Listen, it didn't work out that bad, right? You got the cover on it anyway. So as long as you got the cover on the teaser, because they did come back, they did wind up winning the game. So you got the win out of that. So that's not a bad thing. So let's move on to week 6. Let's talk about the week 6 teasers here that we like. I want to get this talk out of the way right now because the first leg of my week 6 teaser is actually the game tonight between Tampa Bay and the Philadelphia Eagles. Tampa Bay on the road, 6.5 points they're favored by. I'm teasing that down to 0.5. So you basically just need Tampa Bay to win here. And I do think Tampa Bay is going to beat the Eagles. The Eagles have played some ugly games. I don't think the Eagles are very good. I'm not even sure. The only team that I'm less sure of how they've won games is the Chicago Bears, who we'll talk about a little later as well. But I don't even understand how the Eagles are keeping some of these games close. Listen, Tampa is just legit. That offense is fine. They're going to be able to throw the ball against the Eagles because they can throw the ball on anybody. They have three amazing receivers in Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans out there. Even without Gronk, they're still a powerhouse of an offense. I just think they're going to put up too many points, and I don't think Philadelphia is going to be able to keep pace with them. So I think Tampa Bay winning this game is pretty much a lock. So that's how I'm starting my teaser off. And then the other leg that I like this week is the Carolina Panthers. I actually thought Carolina deserved to be favored. So far, that actually flipped. So now the Minnesota Vikings are favored. But again, it's 1 point. It was Carolina -1 to open. It's Vikings -1 today, maybe 1.5. I don't know if it moved at all since this morning. Um, but whenever you have that, we talk about it like going, oh my God, it's a 2 point swing. But when it's a 2 point swing around the zero, any of these numbers below three, it's really not that big of a move in the overall scheme of things. So these two teams are basically even. It's kind of like a coin flip. Carolina's at home. They're getting 1.5, which is the number that I took this at yesterday. So I was able to tease this up to 7.5, which got me through the three, got me through the seven. And that's what we talk about all the time. When you can get a home team and you can tease through the 3 and 7 in either direction from, 8.5 down to 2, or from like this situation from 1.5 up to 7.5. Whenever we can capture those two key numbers, that is definitely something I want to do. Who wins this game? I honestly don't know. I mean, Carolina could wind up losing this game. Minnesota on paper is the better team. They got a better offense. They got their defense is. I'm not gonna say their defense is better, but their defense is better than people thought Minnesota's defense was going to be. But again, I think Carolina keeps this game close. 50-50 chance Christian McCaffrey plays. We're doing this video on Thursday, so we don't have all that info yet. But the way I'm looking at it, I like this teaser. Tampa Bay -0.5. Carolina teased up to +7.5. What are you looking at for this week?
So, well, few things to note here. New year, same Christian McCaffrey injury status. Like, I mean, last year was week to week nonstop, the most frustrating thing of all time. And I warned you about those Eagles. I mean, I've been warning you about them, and I don't think they're good. They shouldn't have won that game last week. I mean, that was vintage Sam Darnold as a Jet fan for all the good you've seen so far. And I told you this with their offense. It was just like eventually he was going to have to do way more with his arm. And when you have to do that, love or hate Sam Darnold, all the comparisons when he was coming out, people were like, well, he's very Brett Favre-esque. As good as Brett was, turn the ball over at really bad times to put the Packers in predicaments all the time. That is exactly what Sam Darnold did last week. 3 interceptions during plays he shouldn't have thrown the ball. Okay. Here's what we're looking at for this week's teaser. Coming off a win, coming off 3 winning teasers here, we got to keep the momentum going. I want to stay over 500. I want to stay in the green here, Benny. But I don't know if I'm starting off great because I'm not listening to my own advice, and I'm going to take the Chiefs. The last teaser I lost had the Chiefs in it at 0.5 point. But they're going on the road. They're playing Washington, coming off a loss. Washington is not good. I want all the people who told me that Washington was going to win the East, win the NFC, win the Super Bowl, and have the top 5 defense in football to show yourselves. And I'm not talking about Washington fans. You know who you are. It's okay. We all have bad takes, but Washington is a bad football team. So the Chiefs under a touchdown going into Washington, feel pretty good about that. If they let me down again this week, they're not making the playoffs. If they lose to Washington, if they cannot win by a point against Washington, I'm sorry, bud. They are not making the playoffs. And then we're going to go with the Chargers in what I think you're bringing the Chargers from 2.5 up to 8.5, getting through the 3, through the 7. We kind of, I think, like the Chargers. I just think that's going to be a very kind of playoff feel. I think it's going to be like a touchdown game throughout. If I'm getting 8.5 points, just to make a long story short, feel good about it. Chargers, very good team. Rolling in the West right now. Beat a good Browns team. Granted, they're going on the road here. The Ravens have won some games they shouldn't have won, but I know you said this on your show with Brooke. You are what your record says you are. You win games, and you're not going to look at the box scores later. So you win the games, you lose the games. They've been winning games. But either way, it's been ugly, so 8.5 should be more than enough points here. So we're going to go Chiefs, Chargers in this teaser, and we're looking to build on a win from last week.
I like that too, because the other thing I said on the show with Brooke is that Baltimore wins ugly. Like Baltimore's going to win games where, they win by 3, they lose by 2. Like they've just been playing, those lower scoring back and forth kind of games. And Lamar's been making plays towards the end of those games to get them the W's there, which again, they get the W's. So it's still good. But when you can tease it up to 8.5 and a bunch with a team that basically plays a whole bunch of field goal or less kind of games, you got to feel good about that from the betting side. So I like where you're going there. I like where your head's at. All right. So let's move on. Talk about the next stage of the show when we go on and talk about our picks for the Circa Millions contest. 2-2-1 is what we went last week, so not a great week overall to start the new quarter here. But we have 5 plays this week that we do like. So we're gonna list the 5 plays, and then we're gonna kind of go over why we like them all real quick, so you guys have an idea. And then we'll go on and talk about Thursday Night Football at the end, like we always do. So our 5 Circa plays for this week. Where you're going with the Dallas Cowboys, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Denver Broncos, the Arizona Cardinals, and the chalk of the chalk with the Green Bay Packers that I think everybody is on this week. So let me start by giving you the breakdown here with the Dallas Cowboys. I keep hearing everybody say, "Oh man, you're going to bet against a team going up to New England to play against New England. Look what they did against Tampa Bay when Brady went up there." So not even to talk about the narrative and everything else that was involved in that game. That game was also played in really crappy weather. So everybody's like, "Oh, they held Tampa Bay to 19." No, God held Tampa Bay to 19. The weather held Tampa Bay to 19. And again, the Patriots defense has this aura of being this like amazing defense right now. They're like the 20th ranked defense in the league right now. They're like middle of the pack to below. This is not the shutdown, Super Bowl winning Patriot defense that everybody's talking about. And again, nobody's going to argue that this offense is good. This offense is averaging under 20 points a game. So when you look at what's going to happen here, the Cowboys have the number 1 offense in all of football right now. The Cowboys are going to put up a lot of points. Last 3 games for the Cowboys, 41, 36, 44. I think they're averaging over 34 points on the season. This is a team that can score. The only way that New England wins games is if they win them like 21-17. And there's no way they're going to hold this Dallas team to like 17 points. Dallas is going to get 24 to 30. They're not going to put up the 40s that they've been putting up the last couple weeks. But New England can't get to 24. So if Dallas can get to 24, Dallas can get to 30. Dallas is going to win this game. So even laying like 4 points, I think is where it's at, maybe 4.5 here. I still feel confident in Dallas winning this game. So Dallas is our first pick. The other one I want to talk about is Cincinnati, because I know you're a little bit wishy-washy on this one because Detroit has stayed in a couple games here, but I'm going to give you some numbers to convince you here.
Okay.
Right now, Cincinnati has the 9th-ranked offense in the league and the 7th-ranked defense. They're one of only a handful of teams that have a defense and an offense in the top 10 in the NFL right now. This is a legitimate team, the Cincinnati Bengals. It's -3 is the number here. I actually said earlier in the week, if Joe Burrow was playing, because Burrow, he had like some kind of throat contusion.
The weirdest injury of all time. They're like, he's on throat rest for the week.
And
like,
he still played it. Like, he still played, though. Yeah. He played the end of the game, and then they took him to the hospital after the game, which had me believing that, he's going to play this week. Like, whatever it is, it's not serious enough that it was going to keep him out unless they found something. So I thought the spread should have been 7 with Burrow in. And now that we know he's playing, the fact that it hasn't moved, like, I'm shocked that this hasn't moved. I would have thought that, it should be way more than 3.5 here. Cincinnati is a legitimate team. And then go to the other side, Detroit. Most people in their power rankings right now have Detroit in the bottom 5. You could juggle those teams about. Basically what it's saying is all 5 of those teams suck. And Detroit is one of those 5 teams that's in the conversation right there. Their defense is absolutely horrible. And the thing that's really bad about their defense, they have the worst ranked pass coverage in the entire NFL right now. You got a healthy T. Higgins. You got superstar rookie Jamar Chase. You got stud slot guy Tyler Boyd. Like, Joe Burrow is going to have a monster game here against Detroit. This is not going to be the 19-17 games that Detroit has been losing, that they've been keeping it close. I think Cincinnati's going to put 31 up on them. I think Cincinnati's going to blow them off the field here. And then again, Detroit's offense, it's not like Detroit's offense is good. 17-17, 14-17 is all they've been able to manage in the last 4 games. Quentin Cephas is out now. Tyrell Williams probably still out. Their passing game is getting worse, and Cincinnati's actually pretty good at stopping or slowing down the run. So I just don't see how Detroit's going to put up any points here. I love Cincinnati -3. Those are the 2 that I absolutely love to want to talk about. I'll let you talk about Denver and Arizona because I know you're high on both of those teams.
Yep. So especially to note with the Patriots, I would have said the same thing. And last week I was like, well, that Patriots defense, the lack of the Houston Texans offense. But I mean, my God, like talk about a shell of themselves. This Patriots defense really is not what. No Stephon Gilmore now. It's like
Yep.
I don't even know what we're looking at. I mean, I love Bill Belichick. I would never want to bet against Bill, but under a touchdown here, I don't know. I don't know. If your only example is that Tampa game where clearly there was a lot of emotion, Sunday Night Football, bad weather, with all that narrative involved, and whether you believe in it or not, it played a factor. I don't buy it. So I do love the Cowboys there at 3.5. We have a really gross board here, by the way, in our picks. We had this 2-3 weeks ago, and pretty much every game came down to a field goal. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we have 3, 3.5, 3.5, 4, and 3.5. So not great. Yeah. We don't love that, but we're gonna play it. I think we're on the right side of things. So let's start with the team getting the points. The only team we have getting the points, and the one of the only unbeaten teams left in football in the Arizona Cardinals. +3 on the road against Cleveland. Are they the only undefeated team left?
They are the only undefeated team, and honestly, I don't get this number. Like, I feel like it's kind of disrespectful.
Banged up Cleveland team. I know their defense has looked okay in terms of the front eight.
Oh, they've been good. No, they've been good. They've been good.
But got torched last week in Los Angeles, right? So the secondary is vulnerable, to say the least, right? So, to put it lightly, point being that plays into the factor of the Cardinals. That's what I'm getting at. Their offensive line isn't great. They could give up some sacks, but the same strength the Cardinals have on defense is the same strength the Browns have on defense. Like, I just think these teams are evenly matched. You can see a field goal game here. 3 points on an undefeated team. I'm just going to take the points. And, like, I don't think I need much to justify it. Again, only undefeated team left. You're playing a quarterback with a torn labrum. Odell hasn't really done anything. I know they could run the heck out of the ball, but maybe we get a big showing up front from this Cardinals, box. I know their secondary is vulnerable, but I think if the Browns got to win this game, they got to run the ball, and I think that kind of plays into the strength of the Cardinals. So I see them keeping it close. I like that we're getting 3, and if we end up with a push, we end up with a push, but it's still a point. And also, hand up to us. We improved. 2-3 every week, 2-2-1 last week. Improvements, little ones.
Hey, we're going up, man. We're going up. Next week will be 3-2, and then we'll be 5-0 every week for the third quarter, and we can win the third quarter.
We got 2 more quarters. I'm a fourth quarter guy, anyways. 4 is up, right? Second half team. We're a second half team. Okay, and we got the Broncos here, hosting the only home team we're betting on, hosting the Grudenless Raiders. We made the joke beforehand. I don't know if this is going to be a good or a bad thing. I don't know either. Even if they had Gruden, I feel pretty good about this. The Raiders were one of those fraudulent 3-0 teams to start that everyone kind of bought in on. Same with Denver. However, I kind of, as much as Denver's a fraud, still, they're better than the Raiders. They just are. There's not much for me to like on the Raiders side of things. Their defense isn't very good. They have a running back there in Josh Jacobs that I don't even know what the heck he's doing. I don't know what they're doing with him. They have a team with guys that are just there. Like Darren Waller's up and down. Derek Carr, everyone wanted to call him an MVP. I'm like, he's still Derek Carr, and you just kind of see it happen in front of you. Whereas the Broncos are sound. Their defense is sound. Their secondary solid. Their front eight is good. Offensively, I know Teddy's not going to turn the ball over or do too much. They've gotten the running game going with Javonte over the last couple of weeks. I know Melvin Gordon came up on the injury report like some Javonte Williams. They have receivers there. Cortland Sutton had a big game last week. They were competing with Pittsburgh. They were out of that game for the most part. I know that was a surprise to a lot of people, but they didn't go away. They almost brought that game to overtime. So this is a pesky team. I like them at home. The Raiders, leaving that little spaceship that they have in Las Vegas, and they got to go up to the Mile High, which is never fun to play in. I could see this being a field goal game. I could see Denver winning by a field goal and we eat the hook, and that would be unfortunate. But, divisional game, give me the team I think in division that's better, and I'll take the Broncos. And we have one more game. We have one more game here, and it's the chalk of all chalks.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay, I'm not going to go too deep into the Green Bay game. Green Bay crushes, or at least plays well, every time they go up to Chicago. They go up to Chicago, and they just kind of, Aaron Rodgers just kind of flings it around, and Aaron Jones runs the ball and gets into the end zone. Like, I think Chicago is probably the most fraudulent 3-2. I have no idea how this team is 3-2. And I'm actually somebody who tends to be higher on Chicago than other people are because, my numbers kind of weight defense a little more. But that's why I don't understand why they're 3-2. It's like the defense is not that good. In years past, the defense has been good, and people have underestimated that. This year, though, the defense is not that good. So I legitimately don't understand how this team is 3-2. Yes, we cashed on them last week. Yes, I like them a lot better there. But I think that I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm like, man, I felt like this number should have been higher.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with it. I think Green Bay is going to be one of those teams. You tell me if you agree. Green Bay is probably going to be 75-85% owned in the Circa this week. You think they're
Yeah.
going to be one of the top picks?
The tale as old as time is Aaron Rodgers going into Chicago and just crushing dreams. He loves it. And also to tie this with us, we were on the Bears last week against the Raiders. This Bears team that we're not high on, we are higher than probably anybody else out there. We are higher on the Bears, and we knew they were going to handle the Raiders last week, and that's why I don't trust them. The Raiders were home, and that game wasn't even close. That was a gross game. I didn't even watch it. I couldn't even watch it. Justin Fields did like nothing, and the Bears beat them. Like they were beating up. I was gonna say they beat up on him with Damian Williams. They beat up on him with Damian Williams. So
which was very good for my best ball team because I had a lot late flyer Damian Williams stuff that paid off for me finally last week. So I was pretty happy about that, especially because I also have a decent amount of Christian McCaffrey who got hurt early on, and Damian Williams stepped in and filled that role for me last week, which was nice. All right, so that's it. Those are the 5 Circa bets that we have for this week. Let's see how we do. We'll talk about it next week on the show. So let's move on to Thursday Night Football right now. We got an interesting game here tonight. Touched on it a little bit already in my teaser, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling up to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Spread right now, 6.5 points. You can find some 6.5s and some 7s. Obviously, if you're on the Tampa Bay side, find a 6.5 that you can play. If you want to be on the Philly side, see if you can find the 7 out there so you get that protection as well. For us, though, we're going to be on the Tampa Bay side of this game. At least I know I am. Again, one of my favorite teaser pieces. I also have this game lined at 8.5, so I don't even mind taking the 6.5 and laying the 6.5 with Tampa Bay and taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here on the spread on that side. I just think Tampa's offense is too good. They're going to put up too many points here. People keep telling me that the Eagles defense is good, and it's like, all right, well, the Eagles defense might be good against like the Atlanta Falcons who suck. But when you go up against Tom Brady and that Tampa Bay offense, like they're just going to put points up on the board. So I have no problem laying points. Like I said, I love the teaser piece here. Love it on that side. Didn't really touch the total though at 52.5, mostly because I'm scared of Philly. Philly could come out here and put up 2 or 3 touchdowns, or Philly could come out here and put up like 10 points total. I don't know how that's going to go out on that side. So I didn't want to touch the total at all in this game. But like we do every week, we do have a bunch of prop bets. Tino, I'm kicking it over to you. Why don't you start? Let everybody know your prop bets because, dude, you've been making money on Thursday night right now. So I got to start tailing your picks on top of mine.
Again, I said this last week. With great bets comes great responsibility. If Thursday's my night, Benny, Thursday's my night, and we're just going to capitalize on it. So we'll tell the people 8-8 so far on Thursday night bets, and this is counting all best bets from week 1. If we don't want to count the Sam Darnold that was not on the graphic, we are 7-8 plus 7.5 units. I am a man of my word. We count our winners, we count our losers, but I did say it. So including the Sam Darnold bet at 18-1, we are 25.5 units up here on these prop bets. We look for positive odds. I'm not going to get any crazy first touchdowns on these best bets because I will try to take it seriously now that we're counting it. But here's what we're looking at. I got 4 bets for you guys. I'm loading it up. I did cheat, and I put one bet that I feel really good on that is not in positive odds, but it ties with one of my anytime scorers. So hopefully Philly doesn't come out and score 10 points because I have 2 touchdowns from them. Let's start with the bottom here. Kenneth Gainwell. I think he's probably one of the most far-fetched ones I have on here, other than a Tom Brady touchdown, and I don't need to get into why I'm going to bet that, but it's 4.5 to 1, and I love betting QB touchdowns. And plot twist, you are on Jalen Hurts. I don't want to spoil it, but, you got the other quarterback, and that's fine. Kenneth Gainwell. Myles Gaskin. Everyone shipped Myles Gaskin off to Madagascar last weekend on the waiver wires. We're done with Myles Gaskin. Can't handle Myles Gaskin. Off career game, probably. I think he's most added waiver wire pickup this week. All of a sudden, everyone turned on him because he had 10 receptions, almost like 100 yards receiving, and 2 TDs against them, all out of the backfield. Now, for whatever reason, the Eagles do not like Miles Sanders. I don't know why. I couldn't really tell you. It's an anomaly. I have them both. I'm a Miles Sanders owner, but this is why I'm able to kind of catch a beat on Kenneth Gainwell here. He's the pass-catching back. Now, granted, his 2 touchdowns this season have been rushing touchdowns, but even then, I feel more encouraged that if they're passing the ball, it's just, I know Miles Sanders last week had about 5 receptions, but I think he had like 5 receptions for 6 total yards. It was absolutely ridiculous. I just see at Almost 3-1 here. Kenneth Gainwell in a game that I think the Bucks are going to be up. If he's in on pass catching downs, based on the success they kind of gave up to Myles Gaskin last week, I feel good about this at almost 3-1. I think there's value here. I think there's value on Eagles scores, like you said, because it's kind of, we don't know where this game's going. So I love Kenneth Gainwell, and I'll tie with my other Eagles guy here, and it's Devonta Smith. Now, for as good as this Bucs D is on paper and how people think they are, their secondary is really, really bad. I mean, it's just not good. They're dinked up. They're bringing in Richard Sherman as if it really matters. The guy has one leg. Devonta Smith, the last 2 games, he has over 6 receptions in 3 of the last 5, 7 receptions total in each of the last 2, and no less than 6 targets in any of his games. His prop right now is set at over 5.5 receptions. I would probably find this somewhere and just take the over at 6 if I can get something better than minus 125, which is at right now. I think he's going to get 7 again. That's just what I'm getting at. If you'd rather juice it up and get to 6.5 and just roll the dice to get the positive odds, I don't mind doing that at all. But this is what's on DraftKings, so I'll take over 5.5, and I think he scores. He's only scored 2 touchdowns this season, but at plus 175, he's their best pass catcher. I know Goddard's out, and we're looking at Ertz, and some people are looking at Jalen Hurts to take the load. Say what you want. First-round pick, Heisman Trophy winner. He has 2 touchdowns on the year. Devontae Smith is their guy, and he's been doing a lot better this season. They've been using him a lot better this season, the last 2 games. I think he finds the end zone, and I hinted at it. My last bet, Tom Brady anytime scorer. Not much analysis. Let's roll the dice 4.5 to 1, Benny. Let's get after it.
I like it.
Let's get after it.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. All right. So, I mean, listen, the ones that I'm looking at here kind of build on the same theme that you're talking about, though. I don't think that Philly's going to have any success on the ground here today. So if you're looking at any Philly props, you should be looking at things, passing game related. So you might be looking and saying, well, you have a rushing touchdown here for Jalen Hurts. But when is Jalen Hurts going to get that rushing touchdown? He's going to get that rushing touchdown when they go with some kind of spread formation and he drops back and nobody's open and he winds up running out of the pocket to try to get into the end zone and get the score. So I like the Jalen Hurts touchdown at plus 150 because I do think if they're going to get any rushing yards at all this game, it's going to be Hurts with his legs because they're not going to get it by turning around and handing off to the running back there. So again, Thursday nights have been very friendly for the quarterback touchdown. So plus 150 I thought was pretty good odds on Jalen Hurts. You also mentioned the Dallas Goedert news. Goddard was a big red zone target, is still a big red zone target for this team. He's out this week with COVID. Now, again, somebody told me there's still a chance that he could play, but he would have to test negative. I don't know. I think you need to test negative twice before they let you back on the field. So I doubt we're going to see Dallas Goedert in this game here, which to me means Zach Ertz is going to be the guy. Now, Ertz kind of killed us in DFS last week. I know a lot of people were on him. His ownership was pretty nice. The 2 games before that, though, even with Dallas Goedert in there, this is a guy that had 6 and 7 targets and 6 and 7 catches around there. So he is getting a little more volume in this offense. And now without Dallas Goedert, he should get an even bigger bump in this offense. You could see 8 or 9 targets going Ertz's way, including maybe 1 or 2 red zone targets in this game. We're getting him at plus 225 to score a touchdown anytime here. So I like the Zach Ertz anytime touchdown at plus 225. They're basically giving him like a 30% chance in the books over there to score a touchdown. And I think it's much higher than that. And then the last one I'm going to go with is Tom Brady over 2.5 touchdowns. Eagles don't give up a ton of points, which is why I think this number is even money, because Brady in 3 of 5 games so far has thrown for at least 4 touchdowns. The other 2 games he did not. And, but still, that's still 60% of the games where he's gone over this 2.5 number, and not just gone over it. Like I said, he threw for at least 4 touchdowns in those other 3 games. So I think if it does come down to them slinging the ball around a little bit, I think they'll have some success. I think Brady will get them in the end zone with his arm here. And, how often do we get even money on the GOAT to throw 2.5 touchdowns? So I'm taking Tom Brady against what I think is a bad defense. I think that Tampa Bay is going to put up a lot of points here today. So Brady over 2.5 touchdowns, even money. That's the third one that I'm looking at here for my Thursday night props. And that's going to wrap it up. You like it? You're good with that?
Yeah, I like it.
All right. All right, so there we go. That's going to wrap it up for betting with Benny and Tino. Tino, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter.
At Tino Rodriguez with double underscores. I know we're trying to get me to 1,000. I don't mind the slow chase. I really don't, guys. But just know all the betting winners and all the bets and all the content will be there for not just me, but all of FTN Network. We do plenty of shows here. We're boosting betting with Benny. Check it out Mondays, right? I'll do your shameless plugs here. Mondays, Wednesdays, same times. We got everything going on here. We got Bets TV. We got All In Football. We got tons of fantasy content. everything you need here, Benny. If you are
Yeah,
new to the channel, Benny, I'm going to call the people out who don't like, who don't comment, who don't subscribe. We see you guys. We check the analytics. Do us a favor, subscribe, like, and comment. Please. We know you like this, like the show. Help us out. Help us out.
I got to be honest. I don't normally check the analytics, but what I do is check the comments. So if you guys have a question, if you guys want to let us know why you think our picks are horrible, if you guys want to tell us what your picks are, we can go back and forth in the comments. I do check the comments every day to make sure I'm answering everybody. Try to be a man for the people, man. That's what it's all about. Helping people out, helping people pick some winners. Yep. That's what we try to do here on Betting with Benny. And you guys can follow us every week. Like Tino said, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Feel free to drop us a comments. We're always in there answering them. And let's go make some money this week. So for Tino, this is Benny signing off for FTN Bets on Betting with Benny and Tino for week 6.